Howdy mates. Good afternoon. Here's my second video that I wanted to make out at Routzong Preserve for today. So to continue from the last video, the next tree that we're looking at is the shagbark hickory. And an excellent indication of the shagbark hickory, also known as the Carya ovata. It has bark that protrudes out from the tree, and it kind of gives it that shaggy appearance. That's how you know you're looking at a shagbark hickory. And fortunately, we're actually lucky. When I was out at Routzong yesterday identifying the same tree, you couldn't see any of these. So these are the actual hickory nuts that are produced from this tree. And these hickory nuts are actually very valuable to the fellow homies that are around here. For example, the eastern gray squirrel or even the fox squirrel. They like to eat them, and they're also edible for us too. However, though, you might have some difficulty because they are hard as a rock. What's fascinating about this tree as well is, depending on how much the bark protrudes from the tree, some of the smaller bats, such as the vampire bat, they actually could go under these pieces of bark and use it as a hiding spot. That's something that I find very fascinating about the tree. And usually the shagbark hickory, they like to live in more acidic soil. And actually a lot of these trees live in more acidic soil. And the other condition is you have to have very well drained soil as well. And actually, I will be honest, that was something that I did forget to explain yesterday during my interpretive tour. That, trees can help indicate the soil type that's around us. But, however, because of how chilly it was, I only really had a chance to cover some of the more basic information. But yeah, so now this is the McQuay ditch. So this is the opportunity where the soil is able to have decent drainage so that there isn't too much water that accumulates. Yeah, so to point out too, you kind of see like how open it is towards the center. Well, a lot of those trees that were there were the white ash, also known as the Fraxinus americana. And yeah, I mean, that's one way to help identify the tree, is that unfortunately many of them are dead. Alright, so the tree ahead of us here is the common hackberry, right here. You can tell that that's a common hackberry based on the bark. And they have warty, cork-like projections on them, or sinuous ridges. And another neat fact about the tree is it's very versatile. So it can handle all types of soil conditions. If an area is experiencing drought or flooding, they can still grow just fine. And actually, for residential purposes, this is actually a good tree to use, because it's actually a very fast growing tree. So you probably figure with how high it is, this tree may have taken just a few years to get this high. And you probably are thinking, when you hear hackberry, does that mean that they have berries on them? Well, you'd be correct. The hackberries are actually edible for humans. We actually can eat them. And so can the other wildlife too. You can use them for jams, juice, you name it. Yeah, I feel like they're a very undervalued tree, even though they are very common. Yeah, it's chilly out today. Whew. So, I just wanted to point out one last tree to you guys before I end this video. Now, I have to just get off the trail just slightly. Here is the famous Prunus serotina, also known as the black cherry. And as I mentioned with my group yesterday, the black cherry, the bark, I like to think of it as, it kind of looks like burnt frosted flakes. Because it has a rather flaky appearance to it. And this wood is actually very highly valued because it's like a darker wood, like as you get into the actual heartwood. And so monetary value is actually very high because the wood is commonly used for cabinetry or even, what else? Even furniture too, but mostly with cabinetry. Yeah. What's fascinating, may have to like show an article or something on it. The actual like berry itself, or the cherry per se, you may be thinking like, oh, it might look like the cherries that we use when we have an ice cream sundae. Well, that's not necessarily the case. They're actually very small in size. You'd probably think it'd probably be just slightly larger than a pea. I mean, even though they have uses for things such as like wild cherry cough syrup and even jelly or jam, you don't want to eat the berry directly, like as a whole, because it actually has a toxin in it called amygdalin. So it's toxic to our body. And it usually has the same toxic effect with livestock, such as cattle. However, though, the wildlife, such as the squirrels and even the white-tailed deer, they can eat it just fine, because their metabolism is way different than ours. So, alright. Thought I would share that with you guys. Hope you learned something in the video. You know, if any of you have questions, just please feel free to ask me. And as I've said before, if you want to hook me up with a little interpretive tour, you're more than welcome to. So, alright. Hope all of you enjoy your Thursday, and Journey on a Journey is out. Take care, folks, and forgive me for the length of the video. I have a lot of information to share. Alright, take care, you guys.